Hello, guys. Welcome back to our first theory, review on the channel of a movie. We have Jurassic World Rebirth, as well as this abomination. And it didn't show up in time, but yeah. So, I have just come back from watching it for the second time to make this video. It was good both times. If I was to put it in a tier list, it would go The Lost World, Jurassic Park 1, Jurassic World Rebirth. And then all the other ones are kind of just the same for me, so it doesn't really matter. I think out of 10, it was a good movie. Like, give it an 8 or a 9. So, there is some issues I have with it, but they're not big enough for me to ruin the whole movie. For example, this is the Distortus Rex. Definitely the coolest mutant hybrid in the series. I'd go Distortus, Indoraptor, Indominus, then Scorpius. So, my guess for the movie is, yeah, it was good. But let's talk about some things with the Scorpius. So, one of the issues I had with the movie, it was a subtle thing that I can pass by, but the Distortus Rex is the biggest dinosaur that we have seen in this movie besides Titanosaurus. Mosasaurus and Quetzal don't count because they're not dinosaurs, but it's also just the biggest carnivore in the series so far. But you can see right about here that it is like this compared to a human. But, in the end scene, there is the helicopter that's about to pick up Henry and everyone else. But, you don't see it go through the fog, and then immediately, the Distortus has the helicopter in its mouth. This makes no sense because, sure, we can say it is massive and can fit a helicopter in its mouth, but when Martin Krebs seemingly attempts to get away from the island, but ends up in the Distortus's path, in which the Distortus smashes his car and picks him up and bites him in half. You can see before he eats him, actually it's a she, before she eats him, we can see her mouth is a lot smaller. If I was to say her mouth was the same mouth that was eating a helicopter 5 seconds ago, I would have said no, it can't be, because that thing is 50 feet tall originally, but now it's only 30. But that's just a small thing. There is some other issues I had, which was some of the species were kind of delayed screen time. For example, the raptors, they had no screen time. The only thing the raptors got was one of them got eaten by a mutodon. And if I'm being honest here, the mutodon was kind of the weakest of all the hybrids / mutants. But, let's see, what else? I'd also say I cannot tell you enough how much I like these new compy designs. If I don't get these in Jurassic World Evolution 3, I'm calling, I don't even know who to call. I'm calling InGen. So, I swear. And something else to note here is that besides designs, there was definitely some things that I liked. The Dunkleosteus, this was goated because we now know there are more marine reptiles out here. So yeah, this Dunkleosteus is really cool. There's also the Megalodon, the teeth of the Megalodon, not the whole thing. But, yeah, that's pretty cool. I need to see, some Meg versus Mosa. But speaking of Mosa, as you can see right here on the trailer, this is a completely different Mosa. So, Best in Slot actually made a good in-universe explanation on the Mosasaurus, because there's definitely some flaws, which was, InGen tagged it and tracked it after its escape. And I'm like, okay. What do you mean that's the same Mosasaurus? That's a whale, and the Mosasaurus is a Komodo dragon. Like, what's going on here? I'll tell you what's going on. A retcon, or, in Bessenflot's case, he just says the Rebirth facility made their own Mosasaurus, which I see is entirely plausible, as maybe they were working on a marine hybrid for the park. Let's also talk about that guy that was just there. Let's talk about him. So, by eating a Snickers bar, he ruined an entire InGen facility. Should have got Feastables. Anyway, corporate sellout for me. Let's talk about this, the river raft. This was epic. Well, it wasn't as epic as I would have liked it to be, but it was still very cool. Getting some of the novelization in here. I'd say the raft, there's some issues with the raft because it puts its entire teeth inside of the raft, yet it does not explode. But that's just nitpicking here. There's definitely some good parts like the symbiotic relationships with the Spinosaurus and the Mosasaurus hunting down the boat. All the deaths were pretty cool. Some of them felt rushed, and some of them felt expected, but it's nothing much. The Quetzal redesign I'm not the biggest fan of. The Mosa design, I'm a big fan of the whale. Titanosaurus, that is like my new favorite sauropod. That was epic. I'm trying to think, what else was there? I'm going to say there was the explanation on Duncan not dying, which was he just throws the flare into the Distortus's mouth, and he just swims away through the mangrove, which I think is entirely plausible. Bit disappointed he didn't die, but I'm also pretty glad he didn't die. But for now, that's all I got on my short review for Jurassic World Rebirth. Go see it in theaters if you haven't already, and hope you guys have a good day.